Hi everyone, this little video is to help you with the parts analysis section of task 11, and if you choose to write your draft on the parts analysis, this is also for you. So I'm going to start off by opening up task 11 and just reading out the little intro part here. It says please find design guidelines for green roofs. It's a PDF by Stephen Peck and Monica Kuhn. 2016, in the same place you found this assignment. I have only included the pages you will need because the full report is quite long. It was originally like a 20 or 25 page document, so I just cut out all the extra pages. You don't need to search for anything. All the pages that you need are there. So this part of the assignment will help you find the information you will need to write a parts analysis and operating principles for green roofs. This video is just on the parts analysis one. There'll be a separate video for the operating principles and a final quick one for the formal sentence definition. So let me open that design guidelines for green roofs and just show you what we've got here. I've included page 1. You don't really need page 1, but I've included it just so you see what the beginning of the document looks like. You can read that abstract if you want for more information on green roofs. But really what we're looking for, here's page 1. The next page is page 4, right? I've cut out 2 and 3, so we're skipping right from 1 to 4. And here's where we start getting information on the parts, okay? A little bit lower we have like some details on the parts. And I think there's even some in page 5, okay? Once you start getting down to here, advantages and disadvantages, those are not about parts, okay? So be careful, read through it, find the things that are about parts. We're not talking about benefits or anything like that. We're just talking about the parts, okay? So that's where you're going to find it. And you'll notice here maybe that the same information, or most of the same information, is in our National Geographic article up on the roof. If we scroll down here to page 91, you've got a little illustration, and it's got some of that same information about parts there, but it's not as detailed. Okay, so you can certainly take some information from National Geographic, but your main information for parts analysis is going to be from the design guidelines, the one that we're looking at today. Okay, okay, so let's take a look back at task 11. Oops, task 11, where are you? And mouse is giving me problems. Task 11. Okay, so here are the 3 questions that we're going to answer for this part. The first question says it gives you information. Okay, let me read it out. Pages 4 and part of page 5 of Design Guidelines for Green Roofs by Stephen Peck and Monica Kuhn gives you information for the parts analysis paragraph. Notice that this info is very similar to info from the illustration on page 91 of Up on the Roof. We just talked about that. Design Guidelines gives more complete information. So what I'd like you to do is, on a separate piece of paper, draw a simple diagram of the parts that you found on those pages. So go and read everything, scan for, do some of those active reading strategies, highlight if you've got a printout, take notes, whatever, but note down all the information on parts, and then draw a very simple little diagram. Now, you don't need to show me that diagram. It's not actually worth any marks, but I would like you to really visualize how the parts fit together, because that's how we decide how we're going to describe them. If you remember when we talked about the geothermal heat pump, we drew that little picture and we saw that there were some parts underground, there were some parts in this section, and there were some parts in the house. So it really helps you visualize, I'm going to divide it up by area. Okay? So once you've got that done, we come to our next section. What's the best way to organize the parts? We've talked about 3 of them before. One of them is spatially. So if you notice that the parts of the green roof are like all on top of each other, or all left to right, or one inside the other, use spatially. If you notice that the parts are like the geothermal heat pump, there's a bunch of parts over here, and then there's some over here, and then there's some over here, do it by location. If neither of those two work, you probably need to do it by function. So you think about what these different parts do. So even though they're maybe not next to each other, they all do the same thing. Okay, so do it by function only if the first two don't work. So based on that, we write a topic sentence for a parts analysis of green roofs. What I'd like you to do before you do that is to make sure you look at the example topic sentences that we've used before. Okay, so there's a document called Topic Sentences for Parts Analysis. It's again in the same place that you found task 11. So I'm going to go and find that. It's over here. Okay, so here we've got an example for if you're going to do it spatially, right? The gravity lamp, we've seen that before. It has a number of components, starting with an end cap on the top. Or a ballpoint pen has 4 parts, starting with the casing on the outside, and then you're going to move inwards. Okay? If you're doing it by location, here's one for a tunnel boring machine. It has parts in the cutter head, in the shield, and in the trailing gear. There's 3 different sections. Or this solar hydrogen house has components inside the house, inside the garage, and outside the house. And if you're doing it by function, let's maybe look at biofilter. That's the one we've talked about more before. Biofilter has parts that move air, that's one function. Circulate water, that's another function. And structural parts. So they're not in different places, or sorry, they're not all grouped in different areas, but it has parts that move air in different places, but they all move air. It has parts that circulate water in different places, but they all do the same thing. So if you want to do it by function, you've got an example. Okay, so once you've chosen which one you're going to do, spatially, by location, or by function, have a look at the example topic sentences and write your topic sentence for the green roofs. Okay, so at this point, guys, I'm going to move on next to helping you write the draft if you choose to do the draft on parts analysis. But if you haven't done task 11, stop the video now, go do task 11, or at least do the parts analysis part of it, and then come back and watch the rest of the video. Okay, so if you're back, I'm going to be talking about the draft of the parts analysis paragraph. So first of all, let me talk about what a draft is, just to make it really clear. A draft is a first version of a paragraph, right? We do much better writing when we try it out, when we do a paragraph, leave it, come back to it, reread it, try to make it better. Okay, so that's what our next idea is going to be about. We're going to be talking about revising things. So you guys are going to give me this draft. I'm going to give you comments, and in the final version, you're going to use those comments to make a better paragraph. And that's where part of your marks are coming from, is when you rewrite that paragraph. Okay? Let me talk quickly about whether you should choose the parts analysis or the operating principles. It's really up to you, but my suggestion is if you are unsure about one of them, if you're like, I really know how to do the parts analysis and I'm really unclear about the operating principles, do the operating principles. Do the one that you are less certain of. Why? Because I'm going to give you some comments, and I'm going to give you some help to make it a better paragraph. So my suggestion, do the one that you feel less confident with. Okay, do that draft. Okay, so if you have chosen option A, the parts analysis paragraph, let's just quickly go over it. As it says, paraphrase information from pages 4 and 5 of design guidelines for green roofs, and the illustration on page 91 of Up on the Roof to write your paragraph. Do not write word for word from any of them. You guys know what happens. I put a big highlighter on it and I take marks off. You're paraphrasing. Do not copy word for word from any of those. Now, the names of the parts can't change, right? You've got to use those things. But if you've got 3, 4, 5 words together and you change one little word and then another 3 or 4 or 5 words from the original, this is not paraphrasing. This is copying and changing a couple of words. Okay, so make sure it's a paraphrase. Okay, your draft should be about 150 words long. Guys, don't get too caught up in word count. Is it okay if it's 149 words? Of course it is. That's what the more or less is about. It's around 150 words. Okay. Now you will need a certain amount, 125 words at least, to make sure that you get all of that information across. If you've got less than that, you're probably missing some of the information. Okay, but let's go through the 4 things that we're really looking for a good parts analysis paragraph. The topic sentence should show how the paragraph is going to be organized. Now, we did that topic sentence in task 11, so you're just going to use that one. And again, you've got to either use spatial, location, or function grouping. Okay? All right, the paragraph has to be complete. It's going to need about 125 words. Yes, if you've got 124 words, it's probably fine. Don't get too hung up on the word count. But if you've got a lot less than that, you're probably missing some of the information. You're going to need all of those words to explain stuff. Needs to give all the parts. Okay? You want to use correct vocabulary. Mostly in this case means use meters and centimeters and things like that. Do not use inches. You're describing materials. So if they talk about, for example, if they mention a certain type of metal or a certain type of wood or specific types of plants, that's materials. Shapes, numbers, if there's 1 of something, 2 of something, 10 of something, measurements if you've got it. Okay, so it really depends on what those parts are, but give me all the details about the parts that you've got. Coherence, so make sure it goes in a logical order. You told me how you were going to, or let me know how you're going to group things with that topic sentence. Follow that same one. Follow that same order. Okay. For the geothermal heat pump, we said parts underground, parts in the mechanical room, parts in the house. So give them in that order. Parts underground, parts in the mechanical room, parts in the house. Okay. Showing spatial connections. Beside, on top of, underneath, to the left, to the right, that kind of thing. And make sure you're only describing parts. Don't talk about benefits. Don't talk about how to install it. Don't talk about maintenance. Don't talk about what it does. Any of that. You're just describing the parts, because later on we're going to talk about how it works. Okay? Just some quick things, guys, about how you can submit. I'm not really worried too much about formatting. If you can use Calibri 12, that would be a great idea. I'd love it. But it's not a big problem. Double space your work, please. You can type it in Word and then send me a Word document. You can type it in any program you want and save it as a PDF. You can even do it directly on Blackboard. There's this little button called Write Submission. You click on that and then you just type away right in there. Final thing I'm going to say, guys, about the marks for this assignment. Half of the marks will be given when you give me your draft. If you give me a serious attempt at a draft, that's an automatic 2.5. Half of the marks is just by giving it to me. Okay? I'm going to take a look at those, give you some comments, and give them back to you. What I'd like you to do is take those comments and rewrite your paragraph for the final assignment. That's where you get the other marks from. Okay? It says here, the other half will come when you hand in your final assignment. To get the other 2.5%, you must make changes to your paragraph based on my comments. Okay? I'm going to tell you how to make it better. If you follow that advice and make it better, you get the other 2.5%. Okay, guys, so I guess that's it for parts analysis. You can, one more thing, guys. Maybe let's go to Blackboard just to make sure that everyone knows where this is. Task 11, this is in the assignment section. Task 11 is right up on the top. The draft is here. All of the documents that you can use are here. You'll see there's no videos yet because I'm just recording them, but the videos will be up shortly. All right, guys, good luck, and I'll see you around.